Here we are, Tim McManus, Greg Thompson, State Wars Hockey Podcast number 39, coming straight from Long Island, New York. What's up, GT? How are you this Friday?
Yeah, Friday. Kind of weird doing a podcast on a Friday, but, you know, it's been like pulling teeth to try to get Laura on the podcast. And it's actually my fault. I'll take blame on it. I think I told her next Thursday, the 15th on the calendar. And, you know, Thursday was the 14th. And as you know, the 14th is your birthday. So how was your birthday?
You know, everyone's always talking about CJ Yoder in that fountain of youth. I don't know, baby. 48, feeling pretty good, you know? I don't make a big deal out of my birthdays. As you know, I kind of like to avoid them. But my kids always want to have a cake and sing happy birthday and do all that fun stuff. So, you know, the pandemic didn't really affect my birthday too much. We really don't do anything anyway for it, but it was nice to have them. My wife asked me, what do you want for your birthday? I said, everyone just to leave me alone for a day. That's what I want. So pretty much that was what yesterday was. Just leave me alone. Let me relax. And, I had a couple Heineken Lights last night and watched the Rangers get their asses kicked by the Islanders. And, that was it.
Yeah, I had a couple beers to celebrate your birthday as well. Watched the game, shut it off, I think, halfway through. Just couldn't watch anymore. Even the Islanders, I mean, especially early on, they didn't look good to me at all either. It was just very sloppy and passes were just off, and it just wasn't really a fun game to watch. It sucks not having a crowd. I think that really killed it.
You heard David Quinn, the coach of the Rangers, say after the game that you're not going to have a crowd, but he said once they get down on the bench before the game, it was like an eerie feeling. It just felt weird. But like you said, the Islanders are dealing with the same thing, so that's no reason why they played so bad. But it seemed almost like preseason-esque, or still, they're short of camp this year and everything, so it's going to take a little while to get the kinks out, I would think, for everybody.
Yeah, no, exactly. And the Islanders, they have a lot more experience right now, I think, than that Ranger team. They went pretty deep in the playoffs, and the Ranger team's very young. A lot of potential. Can't wait for that team in a couple of years from now. So many young studs. Wasn't a pretty one last night.
Yeah, and it's great seeing the Islander fans. They already got the Stanley Cup rings on from last night's game, and the Ranger fans are already screaming for the coach to be fired. And there's Lafreniere kid. We should have picked somebody. It's amazing.
Should have got rid of Lundqvist.
Yeah, one game. Yeah. I was just happy to watch hockey.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
But the Islanders, they play that suffocating defense. So if they get a lead, you're in trouble, boy. I don't care who you are playing that team with a lead. They're tough to come back on. You got to get the first one then for sure and make them open up, because they're not as skilled, I don't think, as the Rangers, but they have a better system. They play well as a team. Goalie made some big stops, and the Ranger goalie, I thought it was a little shaky at the beginning, and it's what it is. One game. There's many more.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, obviously the season's cut in half, so they better pick it up now, or else they'll be out of the playoffs in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the good and the bad with the way the divisions are is you play the same team so many times, so you can always, I think, catch guys because you're playing them so many times. They said last night it's a 4-point game almost every game.
Yeah.
But you could also fall behind real quick. The same thing. It's a double-edged sword. But, is what it is. I mean, Connor McDavid had no trouble last night getting going with a Hattie. So, you have on one fantasy league, I have in another. So we both were rooting for Connor last night.
Yeah, I also had him in our FanDuel game last night too. So he did pretty well, especially after night one. He not that he struggled, but didn't put up any points. And last night, boy, 3 goals and an assist. That one goal was pretty nasty.
Yeah, he's good, man.
Yeah, when he basically went end to end.
Chris Bittner online here is saying, how was Bigelow's for birthday? He always brings up Bigelow's, Chris Bittner. I was waiting for some calamari to show up at my door yesterday because, as you know, Greg, he's a welcher. He still hasn't paid up on a bet from 2 years ago, Winter Wars, to fill in our fans here. Big 45 and over match between two Long Island teams at Winter Wars in Feasterville. Chris Bittner, a buddy of ours, talking smack to me all week about the game versus us, the sniper team, and he had their team, the Bombers. And they were beating us, I think it was 3-0 or 4-0 at halftime. I think it was 3-0. And as we crossed at center ice to go to our benches, he made a comment to me. We bet some calamari on the game, and it was just kind of an inside joke. And he said as he walked by how he likes his calamari. I'll take that, whatever, extra spicy. And he just woke a sleeping lion boy. And T-Mac came out that second half. And we came back. They might have been up 4-0. We came back and tied it. And we should have won it at the end. Chris Padula missed an empty netter. I think a tap in at one point, if I remember. But we tied the game. And then we redid the bet for the next one. And then we smoked him. We might have mercied him in the semifinal. So, but he still hasn't paid up on the bet.
Never, yeah, he still hasn't. He said it expired after a year. That's what he said to us yesterday. So.
Well, expires because he didn't do it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's not like I could see it expiring if, he was trying to pay it and I didn't want to have it. He just didn't pay it up, He actually played on our team 2 tournaments ago at this year's Winter Wars. And we all went to dinner one night at Chipotle for lunch between games. Thought for sure he was going to pick up the tab just to show face. But, Chris Bittner, he's a cheapskate. I learned my lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, I went out to the city with those guys, during quarantine time. It was like myself, Mike DiNapoli, Bittner, and Big Cheese went out there. Someone else. Oh, Matt Masillo, we went and skated, then we went out for a bite to eat. And Bittner definitely, I'll admit, he definitely wasn't cheap when we went out to eat. We went to his place, thought he was the man, and he definitely wasn't cheap when I was there. But yeah, he didn't fulfill the bet, so he'll definitely be hearing it from you, I'm sure.
Well, he's definitely not cheap with himself because he couldn't get in those pants I gave him from the sniper team. So he quit our team over not wanting to wear the skin tight Robin Hood pants we wear on our team. So, but good times. Brian Spano jumped in there, hooked the top Bry, and Otto. Otto was wearing a Ranger jersey last night for sure. If there were 2 guys we know, Greg, wearing Ranger jerseys last night, it was Dennis Jelsic and it was Andrew Otto.
Yeah.
Otto had a Zuccarello jersey on last night, a hat. His wife probably had a jersey. They were all into it, and he said it too. It's one game, no big deal.
Yep.
But speaking of Andrew Otto, he turned me on to a new show, Greg. I've been watching that show, The Boys. He had mentioned on Amazon.
Yeah, I heard it was really good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like superhero-esque thing, which I'm not always into, but it's definitely a darker side of superheroes and whatnot, owned by a corporation. And for those at home who haven't checked it out, I would check it out. It's pretty good. Definitely an adult kind of superhero show, but pretty good.
Yeah, I actually watched on Netflix the whole Centennial Park bombing for the Olympics, '96.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that?
I started watching because there's 2. There's a movie and then there's a series.
Yeah, I watched the series.
I started watching the one time and I turned it off. I didn't finish. I started the first episode and then I was getting distracted, so I didn't went back to it. Was it good?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I knew what happened
Right.
with all that stuff, but it was just pretty cool. Some good scenes and stuff like that. Pretty interesting.
I think in the movie for that, Greg, our buddy, that weirdo from the Kingdom, what's his name? The Rooney. I think he plays him in the movie.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Kevin, what's his name?
Was it Kevin? Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good fit, actually.
Keith. Yeah. Keith from the Kingdom, who also was in Cobra Kai season 2. He played that guy Stingray, but he's good. He's good, but he plays the guy in the movie.
Yeah, they finished Cobra Kai season 3 as well, and that was pretty good. It's chintzy and whatever, but it's just kind of addicting to watch and whatever.
I like Cobra Kai. I mean, the choreography on the fight scenes definitely.
Yeah,
it looks like Star Wars back in '78 or whatever. How slow it is and stuff, but it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, during quarantine, not much to do. Watching a lot of TV shows, I guess. So people are catching up on stuff, and there's definitely a lull of new stuff coming out. I would think because they weren't making shows for a while. So.
Yeah. No, for sure. I know. There'll be some. We also watch a Jersey Shore over here, so that's been pretty good.
Okay.
Family vacation, Tim. Check it out. It's just funny, it's just something to watch. We also watch Southern Charm over here as well.
Okay.
I think those are K-Mac shows.
Yeah, we don't like, as you know, we don't watch any of the same stuff. So
I know.
But yeah, so today we got an exciting guest today. Real excited. Laura Veharanta, I'm going to say. And I got to ask her today because I hate mispronouncing someone's name, and I'm terrible
Yeah,
with
you're right. Yeah.
pronunciations. I'll call her Laura V. But Laura, I'm excited to have her. It's the second female hockey player guest we had. We had Jenna Ratcliffe, the goaltender from Team USA, many, many months ago. It was awesome. One of my favorite podcasts we've had. So I've been so excited to get Laura. You know, she's a tough booking, Greg. And we've been trying to get this girl for, you know, for months, I feel like, you know, and she's not easy to get on here. So so we're real excited that she's coming on today. And we're going to talk hockey. We're going to talk Team USA, coaching. We're going to talk the Peloton a little bit with her. Because I feel like every Instagram post I see with her is the Peloton bike or her dog. So we're going to find out what's going on there. And I'm real excited to have Laura on.
Yeah. Also, you know, her time at Providence College, where she played NCAA hockey as well. And obviously, we'll talk State Wars. You know, I think pretty sure she's a 4-time champion at State Wars, dating back to 2010. So we'll get into that, dig into that a little bit. And you know, talk about her life now and what she's got going on. So yeah, it's going to be a good podcast today.
Yeah, you know, she's definitely one of my favorite, if not favorite, female players to watch play. I really got into watching her at State Wars and then getting to be in Barcelona 2 years ago and watch her up close.
Yeah,
she's something else. Love watching her play and just the passion that she plays with. And I think she's a 5-time champion for Team USA, right? So obviously, there's something to be said there. Yeah. She's definitely one of the best in the game, and excited to have her.
Yeah, exactly. And she's a roller dad. You know, she's a roller girl. You know, she grew up playing roller hockey. You know, I guess we'll find out today. You know, when she started really playing ice hockey. My guess is she started roller hockey at an early age during, you know, the whole Gretzky era, whatever.
Yep.
In the early you know, I guess she's a 90s, so in the early 90s, and then I'm sure she translated a roller game to ice. So yeah, interested to hear how she started.
100%. So we've had some exciting State Wars news this last couple of weeks here to update everyone on. So as most know, and some of this might be repeated, but I'll say it anyway because people just don't pay attention. So we moved Winter Wars west. So it's still going to be out in Corona and Irvine this year. We moved it to April. So April 7th to 9th weekend, 9th to 11th weekend, we're having Winter Wars West. We bumped that back to give us a little more time. And then our Midwest Wars tournament, we moved to May 14th to 16th, still in Palatine, Illinois. It'll be at Soul Creek and also at the Mount Prospect Rec Center rink.
Yep.
So pretty awesome. Excited to move that back as well. Illinois still has not opened up their rinks yet, so it gives us a little more time there as well. And, you know, big thing to announce. We haven't officially announced, but I'll announce it here. You know, the first weekend of June, we're going to run an event called the East Coast Summer Slam, and it's going to be held in Feasterville, PA at the Sportsplex. And it's basically going to be an open tournament for teams that are coming to State Wars, going to an Arch or a Tours or an Echo or wherever the heck they're going. They don't even have to be going anywhere. They just want to get a competitive tournament in as a good warm-up. And as you know, Greg, you know, back in the day with us, with the Snipers, when you were younger, before we went to an Arch or whatever, we loved playing in a tournament to get warmed up before the big one. So for teams that are coming to State Wars, that's the big daddy. It's a good one to go to and just get a warm-up. So I've already talked to some people on the side about it. It's not a public made tournament. You're waiting for our logo to be made. And, you know, as you know, my brother-in-law, Mike, who does our artwork, it takes him a year and a half to do something. So haven't gotten the logo yet from him, but once that's done, we'll announce it that way. But I want to announce it on here. So excited for the East Coast Summer Slam in Feasterville, first weekend in June, just to keep teams getting going, get the legs moving to get ready for State Wars.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. You know, leading up until the summer, you know, a lot of these kids aren't really playing too much roller hockey. You know, so there's some true roller kids out there, but a lot of them are playing ice hockey and can't really go to events during the winter time. So I think this tournament will be a great event for teams to practice and get their summer teams together just to get a nice skate before the big show. So I'm looking forward to that one, man. That should be good.
You know, in the past, we've done a Southeast Wars down in Georgia. I mean, it was a good tournament, don't get me wrong, but it was always kind of small. And, you know, it was always a little struggle with ice hockey tryouts starting up down there. And then the SGA rink, just not really satisfied with some of the things they've been doing with that rink as far as keeping it clean and up to date and air conditioned and the heat and everything else. So just decided to make a move. We were going to do it in North Carolina last year, but that's one rink. So we're like, you know what, scratch Southeast Wars for now. We'll do this SummerSlam tournament, open up to a lot more teams. I think that June date will be great. some parts of the country school will be over, and then the kids out by us, they'll just come for the weekend and go back home. It'll be a perfect scenario, I think. So
yeah, and also Tim, we've been getting a lot of emails and DMs, messages asking when tryouts were. This year, guys, we're not doing tryouts. We would love to do tryouts in each state and province this year, but with the way the world is, it's just not going to work. With COVID, the unknowns, with availabilities with rinks, and it just makes it easier again, guys. You enter your own team, your own clubs, and come on down to State Wars. So it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, I was talking to CJ Yoder the other day. We had a call. I'm starting to touch base with all our directors. He's our Team Colorado director. So he was even saying, he goes, "Oh man," he goes, "I just love the way you guys do it with tryouts and the teams and the uniforms." And I'm like, "Trust me, you're talking to the guy that started it. I love it too." But unfortunately, like you said, with so much unknown, it's hard to plan a tryout season. You can't say, all right, in California, we're not going to have tryouts, but in Missouri, we will. Or it's got to be all or nothing. And that window is so small to get custom uniforms made and everything. It's just easier to stick what we did last year. It worked out great. We had 215 teams in Indiana, so I know we're going to blow those numbers away in Missouri.
Totally.
2022, hopefully we get back to normal. Hopefully, vaccines are coming out. Things are getting going here now. Hopefully there'll be some sort of big change in this pandemic over the next bunch of months. We'll get back to some normalcy, hopefully by summertime. And then next year, be back to normal, because trust me, I need to get on the road. Nothing better than a tryout, Greg, sitting at that hotel bar, having a couple of cocktails on Friday night when we get in, and just be able to relax a little bit and shoot the shit with a local buddy or two. I miss that.
Yeah, exactly. I miss it. I miss the trek to the office every day. I miss even going to the airports. I miss it all. It's just, finally.
You don't realize what you missed. You don't realize what you got till it's gone, kind of thing, right? You miss stuff, right?
Exactly. And it's funny. Amy went back to work this week finally after 3 months. So now the grandparents are watching little Paisley during the week, and it's a little weird. I'd pop out of the office just to get a little break, and be great just to see Paisley and give her a hug and kiss quick and get back to work. But now I can't even do that. So,
Feels like a lot of peace and quiet too.
Lots of peace and quiet. I can concentrate. Instead of do you mind if I just lay here while I shower quick? I guess so. Sure.
Right.
But no, it's all good. But yeah, it's just looking forward to some normalcy, and tryout season can't come soon enough next year. It's always fun just getting out and seeing old friends and new faces, and getting new kids involved in the sport who don't really have teams.
Yeah, they get lost in the shuffle with this a little bit.
Excuse me?
They get lost in the shuffle with this a little bit. So talk a little bit about the free agent list, Greg.
Yeah, so we're going to announce a free agent list on our website where
it's on there. The link's up there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So where players can go on who don't have a team for State Wars, just send in your info. We'll go right to us. We'll put you on a list, and hopefully we'll get enough kids in that area or state, and get the teams together and talk to the state directors and have them coordinate teams for State Wars. So let us know if you're interested in playing State Wars, you don't have a team, and we'll do our best to get you hooked up with the right people. So.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect scenario. And, the problem too is, with tryouts, it's funny, like there's so many people around the country. When we were running tryouts all the time, they'd be like, "Oh, I wish we could just put our own team in. Why are we gonna have a tryout?" And we're always like, dude, hey, it's about everybody. Like, it's not about being in the know. We want everyone to get a chance, and the best kids make it,
Exactly.
Like, all right. And then when we had to go to no tryouts, I got some people, as you know, buddies of ours, would be like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to get tryouts back." Because now they're the bad guy. They got to tell some parent, "Hey, you don't have room for your kid.
Yep.
I got to take this kid. We want to have a better team, blah, blah, blah." And now it was much easier to say, "Hey, man, I think your kid should have made it, but Tim and Greg did it. Don't blame me. They don't know what they're doing, So
exactly.
I think people like putting the blame on us. So that's a good part of tryouts for people locally.
Exactly. Right. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty cool. And even adults as well, guys. If any adults want to hop on and get on a team, we'll do our best to point you in the right direction. So hit us up. Email is probably best, or hop on and get on the registration link. So.
Hey, this is Laura Veharanta, world champion from Team USA. Well, actually 5-time world champ if anyone is counting. You are listening to the SWH podcast.
Yep, 5-time USA world champion, Laura Veharanta. We're going to get her on here right now without any further ado, Greg. I think it's time to bring her on. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. That doesn't look like Laura.
Sorry about that.
There she is.
My default intro when I jump in on any meeting, the puppy.
Is that a girl, boy?
A little boy, he's just over 6 months old.
He's cute. What kind of dog is he?
Sorry?
What kind of dog is he?
It's a Bernedoodle. So it's a Bernese mountain dog and mini poodle mix.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So a big fluff ball.
So
Where
my
I
mom,
live, everyone's got a golden doodle. Like that's the dog that
Yeah,
everyone
it's
in my
just like
daughter's
that.
grade has. Yeah.
Exactly. Nice and small. I couldn't have a big dog where I live. So.
yeah, so Laura, my mom has a sheepadoodle,
Oh, nice.
and it was supposed to be a mini.
Yep.
It's not so mini.
This guy's not so mini either. He's like double the weight of the smallest puppy from his litter. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, he's just a normal size. Like he's huge. His paws
Yeah.
are, his mitts are huge. Oh, he's a beast, but
That's
he's a good dog.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a good
That's
dog.
Cool.
So Laura, we're so excited to finally get you here. I said before, you're a tough girl to crack down to get on this podcast. You're a busy gal.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No,
First
thank you,
off.
guys. I'm stoked.
So I want to ask you first, before we get started, into all the great stuff like where you played in school and USA. Obviously, it started somewhere. So you were born in California, right? So what got you started in hockey?
For sure. Well, so I grew up in Laverne, and back in the day, there was the old Laverne Hockey Club out there. So it was really cool to grow up and have a rink basically like in my town where I grew up. But my dad's from Finland, so obviously hockey is super big in Finland. So as long as I can remember, I was like 3 years old, like with his adult stick cut down to my size, and I'd just be running around the rink if he was playing or we were watching hockey or whatever. So it's just kind of been ingrained like in my life for as long as I can remember. And we would start in the backyard just playing street hockey with all the neighborhood kids. And yep, there you go. That's in my backyard. I'd have all the kids come over, and we had 2 nets, and we'd play like street hockey till, it was totally dark outside. So that from there, I started my first league actually at an outdoor rink. It's in Covina, where Eton's been doing all his outdoor street hockey videos on the weekend. That was the rink I grew up playing in. I was probably 5 years old when I first started. So over 25 years ago now.
Wow.
Moved up from that to playing at Laverne. And, I was really just one of those kids that was there every single day. And I'd be playing on 5+ teams at a time, in elementary school and through middle school. I was playing in the adult league. I would think I was 10 years old, and I was playing in the women's league, and I was playing as a goalie. So I would play for my, the rec teams. I'd play division up. I would play for the middle school team when I was in elementary school. I was just like, as much hockey as I could get, I would just play. So it was all roller hockey until I was about 15 years old. And then I made the shift over to ice hockey once I realized, there were opportunities for that in Southern California for girls. So kind of, roller still played a big part of my life, but kind of shifted the focus over to ice hockey and making that move. So yeah, that was one of the old Empire teams out of Laverne. That might have been at a tournament or something. But yeah, I played, all the old Bulldog teams, AKS, OC Blades, whatever hockey I could get, I was playing.
Did Laverne have one of the Gretzky centers there?
Yep, it was a Gretzky center. So it was really cool when that opened up. And, we had a Gretzky center in Upland. There was another rink in Brea. So just where I lived growing up, there was, 3 or 4 rinks within 30 minutes. And even Irvine was a Gretzky center, and that wasn't, it was less than an hour away. So we had a ton of rinks because it was kind of that boom in roller hockey with Gretzky coming to the California area. So it was just a good timing, I guess.
I played in that Laverne rink actually in '99. Really? Ayers was there.
Oh, nice.
They had a national tournament there, so we were there playing there were games at Upland and at Laverne. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I miss all those old rinks.
Yeah.
And my favorite rink back in the day was the Anaheim rink, the old Anaheim rink.
That too.
Yeah,
that was probably the nicest roller hockey rink I've ever been to, honestly.
Seriously. Yeah, I forgot about that too. Like that's another one. We had so many rinks just within a small area that, there were so many tournaments, so many teams, like every rink had their own different club. So yeah, now it's crazy to think about. Now it's kind of reduced down quite a bit to, you know, with HB closing, there's what, two rinks around
Right.
here.
Now,
At least
Laura, did you start with the AKS team and then go to OC Blades or Bright
Honestly, I kind of played with and for everybody. Like I remember in Laverne, we had the old Marvel program. So I was playing with them for a little bit. It just kind of depended, like, you know, what were the group of players I was with. I don't remember who I started with and ended with. It was kind of just like whatever tournaments I could play, I would. But Marvel was the first program that I had played for, like an actual girls team. I think you had to be 14. I think that might still be the rule. So once I hit 14, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, play in the girls or women's division. And we had our Marvel team. And actually Shane Arsenault, who's our coach now, was my first coach back then with like Kayla and all the other gals. So
Awesome.
it's come kind of full circle. But yeah, that was and I was at the Laverne rink. So that's like my first memories of like, okay, I'm gonna start playing like maybe a little more competitive roller hockey versus just being at the rink and kind of playing around.
Well, that young picture, you're wearing a Ducks jersey, so I would imagine the Ducks coming to California had to be a big surge for interest in hockey for everybody in California, right?
For sure. And I'm actually, you know, pretty fortunate. Timo Solani is a really good family friend of ours. So I grew up with, you know, being around him and, you know, going to all the Ducks games. Like he would come coach, like he didn't have kids at the time. He would come coach my teams at the Laverne rink. So I have all these team pictures with, you know, Tamu standing in the background as our coach, and all the kids would be so happy and excited. And he came out a ton. It was super cool. You know, he would like spend time with me at my house, like teaching me how to shoot and, you know, little tips like that. So it was kind of cool to have somebody to look up to like that, and, you know, kind of lead, you know.
Now we know the secret, Greg. We know the secret where the skills come from. Now it's all starting to make sense now. Timo Solani.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was like I have multiple years of team photos that he would just show up, and now looking back, like that's so crazy to think about. He was like a superstar in the NHL, like, and we were coming out to like our Laverne leagues to just hang out and coach our little kids team. So that was super cool.
I guess there's a Finnish connection there.
For sure, yeah.
So did your dad knew him, or you guys kind of met him, you know, living in California?
Yeah, it was actually, he met him through Jari Curry when Curry was playing on the King. So it's all those Finnish guys. There's not a lot of them out here in California. So Tim was a big car guy, and my dad has a car dealership. So they grew, you know, their friendship through that, and, you know, a longtime family friends now. So
awesome.
It's funny you mentioned cars. I met him through Mission back in '97 or so, because they did a whole thing with the cars and whatnot with him back then.
Probably some of the cars my dad built him.
Yeah. So, and then I met him through Pat Maroon when he was on the Ducks. We all went out one night with Pat and we got to meet him then. Really nice guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty impressive, Laura, that, I mean, you started your ice hockey career at 16. I mean, so you're basically on the ice for, say, 3 years before you went and played college hockey?
Yeah, technically, I think my first year was 14 U of playing, but I didn't make like our top level team. I was playing on kind of like the second level tier 2 team. I was playing with the Cal Selects. I showed up to practice in my like neon yellow roller hockey pants, like the two-tone helmet, when people would kind of combine the Bauer helmets, and everyone was like, who the heck is this girl? Even now, like I still play with some of the girls that were on that team, and they were like, we were so mad at you when you came to try. We're like, who is this girl? And whatnot. And yeah, it was, you know, 13, 14 up until I left for college. So, I mean, a lot of it was just, you know, being on the rink all the time and wanting to get better, figure out the whole ice hockey thing. Like I truly didn't understand offsides for like a long time. Probably took me two seasons of playing ice to kind of figure out the ice hockey style. And even getting to college, like I had just so many roller hockey tendencies that, you know, my coach would kind of give me a hard time, but eventually we figured out how to get through it.
Well, it's just amazing because nowadays parents think that if their kid's not a stud on the ice by 7, they're screwed, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And I had no idea the whole, like, you know, recruiting process and all this stuff going on. Like I was just, you know, going with the flow and happy to be there. So I'm glad it all worked out. But like now there's so many resources looking back for the kids. Even when I'm coaching, like we do college seminars where we're teaching the kids, you know, about the recruiting process, when to get started, because these kids start talking to coaches at like 14 and under now. So yep, the good old Providence days right there. And 3 roller hockey players in that picture. Ashley Cottrell from Michigan's hiding behind Jen there, and then Jen who's on our team now. So
yeah.
Three
Yeah, so-
people in our class that were roller hockey fans.
Yeah, so Laura played at Providence University from 2008 to 2012, 141 games played, 44 goals, 43 assists for 87 points. Love seeing that goal assist ratio there is pretty equal, which says a lot about the kind of player Laura is. So Laura, how did it feel going from beautiful, sunny California, then you're coming all the way across the country to play in Providence? What did you think of Providence?
I actually loved living in Providence. It was awesome. Obviously a huge adjustment coming from SoCal and, coming from California in general, where it's, a melting pot of everything, to Rhode Island, which is, the smallest state and, pretty small town. Like for the most part, it was Providence and Brown, the two schools that made up the city of Providence, Rhode Island. So, not a lot going on there, but it's not like it's out in the boonies. There's a lot of schools that are upstate New York or places where you're not like in a city, but it was still a huge adjustment in that sense. Like, the cold weather obviously played a huge factor. I remember our first snowfall, I didn't have like an ice scraper in my car, but I had a hockey shin pad so I could get some snow off my car.
Right.
But, other than that, it was awesome because we got to just be on the rink every single day. Like I was in heaven because growing up in SoCal, the nearest rink was Huntington Beach. And from Laverne, that's, over an hour with traffic. So making that trek to just get on the ice back home was, we couldn't do it all the time. But at school, you could just hop on the ice whenever you wanted, every day. You could go work out, go to the shooting room. It was just nice to have those opportunities so accessible.
I see that Patriots logo on that football behind you. So I guess living out in Rhode Island
Yep.
changed you a little bit in general. So what's that
For
football
sure.
back there?
So after I finished at Providence, I stayed there for grad school, and then I actually worked for the Patriots for a year, and that's Super Bowl ball. I was working for them the year they won the Super Bowl in Arizona. So I turned into a Patriots fan there. And then I also have a picture of Fenway Park. We played an ice hockey game out there my junior year. So got a little bit of New England sports, soft spot now.
Yeah, they live and die their sports in New England.
Oh
That's
yeah,
for sure.
that was the biggest thing. Like learning what, true, like here in SoCal, like football, there's, we didn't have an LA team until a couple of years ago, 2 years ago,
Right.
whenever, the Rams moved over. So just seeing that whole culture change was, really cool.
Did the accents drive you nuts when you first went there?
Yeah, definitely had to get used to it, figure out what people were saying. Some people had it a little stronger than others, but it was cool because I actually went to school with Jen Friedman, who I grew up playing with as a kid, and now we play together on Rink. So it was nice to have somebody that, from home, like we were roommates for all 4 years and everything. So that just also made the transition so much easier.
That's awesome.
I see that Peloton bike over your shoulder there. I can see it over Greg's shoulder too. So let's talk a little bit about Peloton. So you enjoying the bike?
Yeah, we're all Peloton friends now, I think.
Yeah.
Join that State Wars group.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in the cycling industry, so
Oh, really? Okay.
it's a little sacrilegious to ride a bike indoors when we could be riding outside, but I love the Peloton. Like, it's awesome just to hop on for a quick ride, and all the girls on our team are super into it. So we're competitive on all our rides and seeing who's beating who, and, doing a lot of the fun rides. But yeah, obviously quarantine made it a lot harder to get out and train and do things like that. So the Peloton was kind of a nice thing to have through that. But I saw you guys are making that group. That's super cool. I saw a bunch of people already joining it.
Yeah, we got to push that. We want to get that group up there because I've had it. I wasn't that into. My wife had it, and then I started getting into a little bit, and then the quarantine made me more into it. I use it a lot for before a hockey game. I like to ride it for like 15 minutes to get my legs warmed up. But then I started getting more into it, and then Greg got one. So then you get that competitive side of wanting to push each other. But yeah, my brother-in-law is a big cyclist.
Nice.
Like he'll ride 120 miles on a Saturday. And he doesn't have a Peloton, but he actually in the winter here, he hooks his actual bike up to some computer program, and I forgot what the program is, but he does these races with people around the country.
Probably Zwift. Yeah, that's what I had. That the most popular one's called Zwift. It's like a video game for your bike, basically. But that's what I was previously using, and then once all the girls started doing their competitive tracking and stuff, I was like, fine, I'll get in on it. Like, I don't want to be left out.
Who are your favorite instructors so far on it?
I've started to like Cody Rigsby a little more. At first, he wasn't my cup of tea. I like him. I like Tunde. I like mixing it up just to try different, whatever my mood is, because they're so different. The type of workout you're trying to get, a fun one or something that's going to really kick your butt.
Right. I'm still kind of learning who's who, and I've only done like 10 rides, so
Really?
I'm gonna step my game up.
Yeah, get on there. Let's get a State Wars live ride going on. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah, I
awesome.
don't know how to set that up, so someone else will have to do that.
All right, I'll help you.
But it's weird. I had an English instructor the other day, and it's so hard to understand sometimes.
Leanne, I think you had. It was Leanne.
I don't even know. I'm like, what did she just say? And then I had one of the guys too, and I'm like, I have no idea what he just said, but I'll just follow the screen.
Yeah.
But no, overall, I love it. It's good and keeps my my ass in shape. So
Yeah, it's an efficient workout, that's for sure. Because I can go on my bike outside for like an hour and almost do the same thing in like 30 minutes on the Peloton. So
yeah,
I'm soaked when I get off it. I do like usually a half an hour ride, and I'm soaked.
it's crazy.
yeah.
I love it. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little about
Yeah.
coaching before we get into your roller career. Let's talk a little about coaching. So I know you're with the Anaheim Lady Ducks. So are you still coaching, and what's going on with coaching?
Not this year. I was coaching with them pretty heavily for 3-4 years, coaching their tier 1 teams. I was coaching I was my 14 AAA team. And then I was coaching 19s and 16s, kind of bounced around a little, but for the most part, for a 3-4 year stint there, I was coaching at least 2 teams. I loved doing it. It was, so much fun going to the rink. Even now, like I'll jump in and help at some practices or clinics when I can. It just kind of started getting a lot with the travel, just because, tier 1 hockey, and you got to travel quite a bit from California. So managing that with my full-time job and stuff got a little, and then also just wanting to play myself, like kind of had to make the choice to, put the coaching aside for a little bit. I'm sure I'll come back to it at some point in my life, but yeah, it was super fun. A lot of those kids, even in that photo right there, like are already looking at colleges, or one of the girls actually just commit to Providence. So that was really cool.
Wow.
To hear that, one of my former players is now going to the school I went to, and is going to get to experience all the fun stuff that I did. So it's nice to see, California getting on the map for ice hockey, and, being able to kind of give back. And,
Have you ever coached boys too, or just girls?
Just girls. I've only coached with the Lady Ducks. There's honestly, like, there is an extreme shortage of coaches in this area for, female hockey players. So it's tough to even fill the teams we have now. So
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you see a lot of old time players coming back, like women players to coach some of these girls teams?
For sure, yeah, and it's a lot of former players that they have, in the coaching ranks right now. So, over the years, it's all girls that I grew up playing with, or Jen's still coaching, Beer's coaching with the Lady Ducks. So, a lot of players are looking to kind of stay involved that way. So, I mean, it is a lot of fun getting on the ice. Like I miss just getting out there for practice and jumping in on drills with the girls, and joining in on the bag skate and things like that. But yeah, I definitely miss it. It's just couldn't make it work with my job and everything else.
I think it's awesome though, because like I coach girls soccer.
Oh, nice.
I have 3 daughters, and none of them play hockey, unfortunately, but they all play soccer and basketball and lacrosse. And I coached the soccer a decent amount. And my oldest, she finally got a female coach.
Mm-hmm.
She had men coaches her whole life, and I thought it was great. And now my middle one, I'm trying to push them to get a female trainer, because I just find that for the girls, it is nice to have a female girl they could emulate a little bit. And I feel that, the girls could have certain conversations maybe about diet and training, things that maybe with a guy, it's a little awkward. It's easier. And I love it for my daughters when they could have a female coach.
For sure. And for the kids to be able to see like a coach or someone that's like gone through it and done it, and they can relate to it. I think, as a girl in a sport that's predominantly male dominated, I think it's good for them to kind of have that role model to look up to, whether it's their coach or people within the organization. So I always thought that was kind of, important to kind of give back.
Now, I know when they're young, like I usually do the younger girls, like I do my 7-year-olds team. And at that age, the girls are so more mature and focused, and the boys are kind of wild. And I'm like, I watch the boys practice going on, and we're totally different. Yeah. So the age you're coaching, I got a 14-year-old daughter. Is it tough at that age coaching, or how is it?
Definitely a lot of other factors start coming into play. I've definitely heard people say like, at the younger ages, the girls are definitely more focused. But at 14, it's tough because it was a lot of like, we would play boys that were about the same age. Like that's kind of the point where the next year you probably can't play against guys that are the same age. They just start to, the growth spurts and size wise. So, it's balancing a lot of things. Like obviously that's an age for kids that they're going through a lot. So mentally, physically, everything. So, it was always a bit of a challenge, but, it made it fun. Like the kids were a lot of fun to work with.
Oh, great.
Now, Laura, did you have any girls that you looked up to when you were younger? Growing up in SoCal, maybe even NHL players. Obviously, Timo had a lot to do with your skills and stuff like that. But maybe any female players who you kind of.
Honestly, like Angela Ruggiero was around a lot when we were a kid. I think she grew up playing with Cal Selects just several years ahead of me, so she wasn't around when I was playing. And even then when I was like 14, there was kids on like the 19 team that, I knew they were going off to college or whatever. Like Kelly Nash was one, she's only 2 years older than me, but I always looked up to her as someone like, like I want to be like Kelly, she's so good. And like, all that. And another person, it was funny, Manon Rion would come do clinics at Irvine. So as a kid, I would always be out there and like, she had her 3-wheel skates and I was like, I want 3-wheel skates. So, even though she was a goalie, but she would be running clinics. And it was just cool to see like a girl that there just wasn't as many people like at that point. Like there was, I can count it on one hand. So it's definitely come a long way. Even now with like all the pro ice leagues and just more exposure for women's sports, it's really come a long way.
It's got to help when like the Olympics happen. I know where I live, after World Cup with soccer or after the gymnastics team at the Olympics, like every program is sold out like immediately. Like girls are signing up like crazy. It just becomes that rush. I would assume the same thing with ice hockey because Team USA is so good.
For sure. I'm sure if you look at the numbers, like the growth has to be, evident there, especially with all the effort, even the NHL's, cross promoting and including some of these Olympian players and their different things. And, players are getting recognition, whether it's like Lindsay Fry, one of my USA roller teammates, just got added to the, Arizona broadcast. So it's just more exposure, more people that, more awareness and visibility that I think is just going to help continue to grow the sport and create more opportunities for everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I saw the, I guess after one of the Colorado Avalanche games, I think maybe this weekend they're going to be airing an NWHL game. Like right
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, one of our best buddies is married to the girl that runs the NWHL out here. So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's jump into State Wars here. So your first year playing at State Wars, you played in 2010 actually with Team California.
Yep.
Back before it was more of our Pro S type of women's division, was more strictly just by states and whatnot. And
So
we found some old footage here. We found a couple pictures, not as high quality as we like, but
oh my God, that's so funny.
yeah, you guys won the championship. Obviously, you were a youngster, I guess, here, Laura, 2010, just 20 years old. You guys won the championship, defeating Michigan 7-4 in the final. And Laura had a great tournament, Greg. No surprise. 6 games played, 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points in the tournament. And you guys won the championship. I guess Nabil was coaching you guys that year.
Yep. Yeah, that was I think it was like a pretty last minute thing. We threw together the team, and that was back when it was like the state breakdown. So, but that was super fun. I still remember, with everyone just like, oh, we're playing in a roller hockey tournament. Let's go.
Right.
That was in Darien, correct?
Yeah, Illinois.
Yeah, that's so funny. I haven't seen those pictures in forever. That's awesome.
And then, fast forward a bunch of years. So 2017 was your first year playing in our new women's division. You played with Palma the first year. And you guys, you had a nail biter in the semifinals with Team Careless, who the girls from Michigan, pretty well. I know you wound up playing with them the next year. A 3-2 overtime win in the semifinal. I'm going to test your memory here. You remember who scored the overtime winner for you guys that year?
I don't remember.
Brooke Bryant with the overtime winner. For you guys with Palma, and you went on to beat the Lady Ghost Riders from Florida 5-1 that year in the championship. And then the next year you jumped on with Careless, and same thing, another great tournament, 6 games played, 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. You won the high score of the tournament in 2010 with Team California, I should have mentioned, and made Team North America for us that year. And then in 18, won high scorer. And you guys, again, had a tough one, but you had a goal and assist in the final, 2-0 win over the Roadrunners that year in the championship. So 2 for 2 on gold medals at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a super fun year. Ashley Cottrell in Michigan sent, me and Jen a message saying, hey, like, do any of you guys want to come play? We're short. I think we ended up having 7 players, and I grabbed 3 of us. So we made up half the team. It was definitely a blend of Michigan and California, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. And the road runners are always tough, and you guys took care of business there. And then the next year, 2019, you got that Rink Republic team that you're with now. Finally, that team came together. They came out to State Wars. You guys, in the round robin, Palma beat you guys 2-1 that year in the round robin. And then you guys defeated Palma 3-0, got paybacks in the semifinal, and Jetta started doing her thing. And then you guys beat the Roadrunners 2-0 in the final. You had 2 goals in that semi, but back-to-back shutouts for Jetta, semis and the finals for another gold medal, and the first one for Rink Republic.
Yeah, that was super fun. That was kind of the first year we had our core group come together, to travel to State Wars, and we loved it. It was just awesome. So
See, that year you guys got to play against, we had a team from France come out. Like, I know a lot of times with the women's division, you're usually playing a lot of California teams. So that's a pretty fun part about it. You get to play teams from different parts of the U.S. and different countries too.
For sure. Yeah, that made it really cool. And it's just great to see the women's division growing with so many teams and so much diversity, not just all California.
Yeah, 100%. And then fast forward 2020, this last past year, you won high scorer again. No biggie. 6 games played, 5 goals, 5 assists, 10 points. And you guys had tied Palma 1-1 in a really tough round robin game. I remember that game. Yep, no shock, you scored the only goal of that game. And your buddy Kyla Saunders from Palma scored the 1 goal, another Team USA player against you guys. And then you guys battled it out and lost in the championship 2-0 to Palma that time.
Yep. Yeah, that broke my streak. I was 3 for 3.
Yeah.
That was definitely a heartbreaker. Yeah, last summer was a tough one with everything, and just kind of going into the tournament not feeling totally prepared after all the uncertainty, but it was just still awesome to be able to get out there and play with everyone, and playing at that the arena rink was really cool. So
yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, that's kind of our excuse for losing with the snipers too, is we blame the pandemic. Did you like playing at that Coliseum? Pretty sweet spot, huh?
Oh yeah, that was awesome. It was super cool. The locker rooms and just the rink and the feel and everything. So yeah.
How'd you like that new floor, the still mat floor? I mean, you might have skated on that at Worlds before, but you like
that?
I'm
used to it from Worlds. I don't know what I like better, honestly. I mean, I just get used to it eventually, but right. I definitely think it has kind of like that, you need a period or two to kind of really get a feel for. I think the puck kind of just comes off of it a little differently. And, even right. when you're using the still mat puck too, that can kind of change things up like at World. So, but yeah, I know it was cool to see.
And what I loved about it, I only skated 1 game on it, but it's just there's no seams to it at all. It's just so flat, and obviously it helps. It was brand new, where a lot of floors you go on, they're old and whatnot. And then the grip's not as good, but I felt it was such a fast grippy floor.
Yeah, for sure.
The puck was definitely a little different with the rocket puck on it.
Yeah.
Definitely a little sticky, but all in all, I thought the skating and, overall play was definitely better on it. So it's good. Now, Laura, talk about your rivalry with Palma. I know you guys get heated at times.
For sure.
A lot of you guys are friends, a lot of the time off the rink. You play with a lot of them on Team USA. But talk about that rivalry a little bit. And, obviously they have the upper hand right now, and what you expect for the next big matchup.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, competition's always a good thing. It wouldn't be fun if there wasn't competition. So, it's nice to go into tournaments and, have that, strive to win and drive to succeed. So, it's tough because we are teammates on the USA side. So we can go into one tournament like, really competitive and fired up. And then a month later or a month before, we have to completely flip and, they're your teammates, like those are your buddies. So, it's fun. It's definitely grown over the years, as everyone's gotten more competitive, as the division's gotten more competitive. And so it's a tough one.
Yeah. Now, are you guys maybe making any roster changes for next year? Any big pickups that maybe you could share with everyone?
I don't know yet. It's not finalized, but we'll see. Yeah, we're definitely pushing for this year, and we just want to have fun with it. We want to play with our friends. Like, I love it because, you know, I'm playing with my best friends. Like these are the people I hang out with all the time. Like I've known more than half the team for more than half my life. So that's my favorite part of it, is just like, you know, these are people that I love and want to be around, and, you know, we play hard for each other, and, you know, we'll do what we need to do to kind of to bring our best. So, you know, I can count on everyone to always be there.
No, I love that, because my philosophy has always been I'd rather lose with my friends than win with a bunch of people I don't know. And you know, I play in 45 and over now with guys I have some teammates I've played with over 20 years together. So that's the best part. You know, especially now you're busy with work, things are going on. You don't see your friends like you used to maybe, and you know, at least you know with these tournaments you get to be with your buddies, and it's definitely something special that a lot of guys or girls don't really have that experience in their lives. They don't really see their friends ever, you know.
For sure. And it's like, you know, we go to State Wars and it's a vacation with your best friends. Like we make it fun. We get like a team Airbnb in a house, and we're hanging out and doing fun things together. So, you know, I just think of it as like, you know, killing two birds in one stone, going to play hockey and also going on vacations and traveling, you know, even when it comes to worlds, like traveling around the world with your best friends.
Right. 100%. You know, the hardest part, Greg, with the women's division for me is there's always that drop off, you know, so you get certain teams that saying, I don't want to play against Rink Right Republic. I don't want to play against Palm. I don't want to play the Roadrunners. So it's hard. Like we want to, and same with the pro division, I guess, you know, you want to see hopefully a couple new teams with younger girls come out of the woodwork, where now we have another team that's pretty good in there, because you want to keep having teams wanting to keep playing, not thinking, oh, we're just going to get killed, you know, and that's the hardest part with it.
And I really think it's gotten like, you know, there hasn't been as sharp of a drop off, I'd say. Like, you know, Team Careless has had some really close games. Roadrunners have been in there. You know, before, you know, the California tournaments got canceled here, I think Narch had over 12 women's teams registered. So even here locally, like I have a bunch of girls that I'll go skate with, you know, the Aztecs team, and they're practicing. They skate almost like twice a week together to practice. And they're like, you know, we want to get better. And there's a whole bunch of new other teams popping up that, you know, are putting in work and actually kind of realizing what it takes to kind of to get to that next level. So it's cool to see the division growing and just getting more competitive. And I think that's probably another reason, like, you know, that's driving the competition between, you know, all the top teams.
Yeah, I know my contact in Sweden who's brought their pro team. They want to try to bring, I'm not sure if this year was with the pandemic, but last year originally they were planning on bringing a women's team from Sweden to come play. So that's
nice.
kind of where we're going, to try to get more
Awesome.
international, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even when the Colombian teams came, like those teams work hard. They're hard to play against. They play disciplined and they skate hard. And, you know, it's hard to beat a team like that.
Same with France, you know, they're just always going to work hard, right?
Exactly.
Takes so much pride, you know? Yeah, which brings me to my next point. Like, I just think it's kind of weird that women hockey players, ice hockey players, maybe after college, don't go to the roller side of things, just because there's nothing really going on for them anymore. Obviously, you do have the professional women's league, but how many women are actually playing in that and actually playing that in the summertime? You know, so I find it kind of weird that more girls aren't really catching on to it, you know?
For sure. And I think it just comes down to, like, you know, here in SoCal, we're lucky we have like a group of girls that we can, you know, like we just threw together a pickup this last week and we're able to get, you know, 10 plus high level female players out on the rink. But a lot of areas don't have that necessarily, or they don't have that like base to kind of pull it all together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always am trying to get my ice friends pulled back into the roller side. I had one year, I think it was 2009, we played up in Canada, and our goalie at Providence is one of the Canadian Olympic goalies. So I had her make her roller hockey debut there. And I keep asking her, but I mean, we have Jenna and we love her, but it's just always funny, like, all right, we're going to get Genevieve to come out and play roller one day.
Yeah.
Even just locally here, like I would love to just get her on her skates.
Usually the ice goalies want to play out on roller. That's usually
exactly like Molly Schaus, U.S. Olympic goalie, lives just down the street, and we're always like, Schaus, you come play goalie, and she's like, no, but I'll skate out.
Yeah, we don't need you out.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about Team USA. So I know you're a 5-time world champion with Team USA. How many years have you actually played on the team?
I was just thinking about this last night, and I know it sounds terrible to say, but I can't remember if it's 8 or 9.
Okay.
I was trying to count. I know we did Italy, I think 3 times. That was one of the Italian years.
Yeah, this Roccaraso year, this might have been your first year, no?
Is that 09 was my first year. I think this was the second time in Roccaraso,
Okay.
right? I think those uniforms were maybe 2011 or 2010. I took 2 years off for school, like during my college years. But 09 was my first year, and that was because Jeff Prime was the coach my first year.
Okay.
And that's where he recruited like Yoko and the Kunichikas, and we had a lot of the vets like Julie and Shar. So then, it was Italy 3 times, China. We went to South America twice.
This was probably your first year here.
It is Prime.
Yes, Jeff Prime right there. Yeah, Kat Santo. Oh yeah, Allie was on that team. Jetta. Oh God, that's a throwback.
So,
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was such a cool experience. And, to come away with the gold after, my first year as a rookie. And there was a ton of rookies on that team. Like a lot of us are babies back then.
Yeah.
So we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, but sometimes that could be a blessing.
I think that was Varese.
Varese. Oh yeah, Varese I think was the first year.
Yeah.
09, yeah. Yeah, Yoko's dad's in that photo too. I think that's funny.
Yep.
Yep, another throwback.
So Laura, out of all these years playing internationally, what was your favorite place to play at internationally?
I'm gonna have to say Barcelona.
Yeah.
It was just such a cool experience all around, from hockey, and then having a rink on the beach, and then everything else, like experiencing Spain, just somewhere I've always wanted to travel to. But every place we've been to is cool in its own unique way, and lots of really great memories traveling all these tournaments, and having so many teammates and meeting so many people over the year, whether it's our USA team or other countries, and staying in touch with people. It's really, really fun and cool experience.
Now, Laura, was this the Asiago practice rink?
Yes, that was. We had a little pre-tournament practice / photo shoot day.
Yeah, I played for Asiago for a little bit, and I remember going down to that rink for the first time, and it was pretty neat. You go downstairs. It's in this it's a small area.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty compact, but
yeah, the locker room is super tiny.
There's a cool Asiago locker room over here, I think it was. I don't remember, I forget, but they had such a cool setup there. It was a fun time.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we had to walk to the rink with our bags and venture away from the tournament.
This was 2017.
Yep, that was China, I think, right? Yeah.
Yep. And World Games.
Yep. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I was super bummed that obviously Worlds couldn't happen this past year, but hope we can get back to that soon, because it's always a highlight of the year.
Yeah, I mean, did you enjoy? So what I loved about Barcelona was, we played at the same time, the men's and women's, which normally doesn't happen, right? Usually a lot of times it's the junior men's and the women's, and the junior women's and the men's. And I tried my best to make it part of our daily thing with our team to say, hey, let's go support the girls. Obviously if it's a late night game or early morning, it's not as easy, but and we had some guys who had girlfriends on it. It just seemed a lot easier to get guys to want to go. And obviously we're all there for the gold medal game and whatnot. I mean, did you feel that difference this year about the guys supporting you guys?
For sure. And even in the past, what would usually be senior women's with junior men, we always tried to support each other and bring some excitement to the games. But with the level of intensity of the men's games, and having the crowds there, and getting really into the cheers and chants against some of the other countries, that's always fun. And definitely the support, having you guys at the games meant a lot. Loved coming out and watching those playoff games. Were just so exciting. Going to the men's games too. So I think it definitely made this year a little more special. A lot of fun too, that's for sure.
Even for us, Greg, because we didn't have a lot of fans there. You know how many fans there for these other countries. Everyone's rooting against us, I felt like at times, and having you guys there cheering definitely helped us too.
Yeah, our girls were getting really competitive with out cheering some other countries.
I'm sure the drinks helped too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, for the gold medal.
It was hot. It was really hot in that rink. So.
Oh yeah.
Had to hydrate.
Exactly.
So here's a clip from the semifinal against Spain. Spain's another country, especially their women's team. They're just getting better and better. I mean, year by year, year after year, they're just really progressing in their skill, and it helps them having a pro league, and they're on the rollerblades a lot. So they're playing a lot of hockey, and they're just getting better and better. But here's a clip from the semifinal game. Nice little goal from you that we'll show right now.
Cool.
Maria Ayala des de lluny no troba porteria la selecció espanyola.
No sé si estem començant a veure una mica de precipitació, desesperació a les
Des de lluny, quin llançament de Veharanta al fons de la xarxa. Gol de Veharanta, gol dels Estats Units, el tercer.
Sorprenent des de
les coses a la selecció espanyola.
sorprenent des de lluny de jugadora número 6 dels Estats Units, Veharanta, que marca el tercer, i Espanya que demana temps mort, ha d'aturar això i buscar asserenar el joc i intentar novament assetjar la porteria dels Estats Units com ho havia fet a la primera part.
Autèntica shooter,
I
com
know there's a
diríem,
replay coming.
de Veharanta, que ha clavat
Yeah.
un bon missil a l'escaire. Sí, quin cacau. Havia
Yeah, that Spanish goalie is probably one of the tougher goalies I've played against in recent years.
l'espai, el
Spain
temps
is,
i la sang
like
freda
you said,
per
a really good
clavar.
team.
Tros a gol.
Especially with those
Cap
small
jugadora
nets, it's
Oh, yeah.
not easy.
I
Yeah.
l'Alba
I had
González
Yoko cutting in front of me for a little bit of a screen there, though, so that kind of helped on that shot.
Yeah,
ja ha rebentat
perfect
potser.
use of screen there.
Yeah, especially when their defenseman's backed up to the goalie as well. I think
I
there was
know.
a second screen as
Probably
well,
double
so-
screen.
I think the
Yeah,
only
so
one
that
that
helped.
was good there, Greg, was Laura. I think he said Laura at one moment.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
I'm not
laughing
sure.
because I haven't heard that broadcast like with the Spanish announcer saying my name. It's funny.
Whenever we go back and watch the men's game, I'd watch it. Sigma, no, and it's like, oh, I understand it the whole time.
Yeah,
But it was pretty cool. They had live streaming though, so
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so that's a huge goal there. Obviously 2-0 lead over Spain's not really, it's tough to hold, especially against a good team and a good goalie. So that third goal was basically the nail in the coffin there. So
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
shot.
we definitely went in with a lot of nerves for that Spain game because, they can play disciplined. They all work really hard. They probably play a lot more roller than some of us get to throughout the year. So, and that goalie too, she's really good.
Yeah, home team, home crowd.
Yeah, it was definitely some nerves going into it, but yeah, that's an awesome.
Yeah.
clip.
now Laura, is it tough for you guys, do you find, to always stay focused when, let's face it, you're the overwhelming favorite to win most of your games there? You have a Canada or a Spain, certain teams, you
Yeah.
worry about a little bit more, the Czechs. But overall, is it hard to stay focused? Because, I deal with this with the men's, obviously, hey, it's one game, anything can happen kind of thing. Is it hard sometimes?
I think in the past, like we've found ourselves in situations where we're like, holy crap, like let's get it together. We're either down or tied and against a team maybe we shouldn't be,
Right.
losing to or down against. Like I think, there's been close games with like Namibia and New Zealand that kind of snap you back to reality really quickly. I don't think that this last Worlds, I think everyone kind of went in knowing like, really respecting our opponents and knowing what was coming. Anytime Czech is in the tournament, anytime Spain's in the tournament, like it's Canada right there. It's 4 really good teams. So, I didn't feel it as bad this year, but there's definitely been times where, we might come into a game maybe not ready or not as focused. And, luckily it hasn't been in any positions where we've been like eliminated or anything, or we find it out early in round robin and then get our stuff together. But, I think it's just shows that, these countries are getting better. Even New Zealand, they've played us in tight games. They are learning to play disciplined, box up hockey. And I think it's, they're learning that works against, some of these faster countries and, people that are maybe skating more. So.
Now, would you
it's just-
prefer the women's be broken up and you play less teams, but every game be a little tougher than how it is now? Or do you like it the way it is now?
I mean, it's fun to play all these different countries, but definitely sometimes leaves you feeling like you're maybe not totally warmed up going into playoffs. So, I could see benefits to both. But it is fun to kind of play these countries that you're like, whoa, like I never thought I'd be playing Namibia in a roller hockey tournament,
It's fun for you, maybe not for them,
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes they're having fun, I think.
Yeah. I know with us, with the men's team, when we lost to Czech in the round robin, I had said to Greg right when the game ended that I think that's good for us to lose that game. Like, now it's because if you win everything, you're going into the final, we've already beat these guys, and it's when we lost, it kind of like our new focus now that, all right, we are beatable. We are human guys. We're not so great after all.
Yeah.
And let's get focused now because if it happens again, we're going to be out. So
Sure.
I thought it was good for us.
Yeah, I always say like it's hard to beat a good team twice. So, it happens. You can lose some games, but don't let it happen twice.
Right.
Now, what are your thoughts? Like opening face-off, right? And I mean, you normally know going into a game how a team's going to play against you, but like when a team just drops back into a box, you're like, oh my God, this is
I
tough.
think sometimes it honestly like mentally gets to the team in general, and everyone just kind of gets in a panic mode where it's like, oh my God, they're just sitting in a box. Like, what do we do? But yeah, I mean, it's, for some countries, it's a smart move to make, and they've held us to close games, if they can keep that discipline and not get caught running around. But yeah, it definitely changes your mindset because you're going into it thinking like, all right, let's get the pace going, like let's get our feet moving, and then all of a sudden, they're not even, passing, mid-rink to come put any pressure on you. So then you're like, all right, well, let's adjust to this flow and figure it out.
Yeah, totally.
So Laura, why number 6? I was thinking maybe you'd be number 8. So why?
That was one of my questions, Tim.
And it actually is funny because when I started playing for Marvel, and I was playing a lot of goalie when I was a kid, like I loved playing goalie. I started the Marvel team, and when I was a goalie, I just wore number 0. And then I was playing for Shane, and I was like, oh, I'll take number 0. And he's like, you can't have 0 if you're skating out, like you're gonna look weird. So I just took like whatever number they had, and it was 6.
Okay.
Then it just kind of stuck with me. So I was 8 a lot growing up. I was 13. They were both Timu's numbers. But it went from like just having a goalie jersey and being like, oh, I probably shouldn't wear 0 skating out.
Right.
Taking whatever was next. So yeah, I've just stuck with it ever since then.
It's been good for you. So.
Yep, lucky number 6.
Now, Laura, like obviously you're around the sport a lot, go to a lot of different tournaments. Are there any young, maybe stud players that you're gonna say, you're like, wow, like this kid's gonna be really good in the future? Any players stick out to you?
I mean, there's a lot of kids I've coached. Like, I think the biggest thing I notice now is like there's not a lot of like pure roller hockey rink rats that are like, girls that are just playing roller. Like back in my day, it was like I was playing with all people that were my age. Like even the group I'm playing with now, like we've all kind of aged up together. There's not really a ton of girls that are just like only playing roller. And then a lot of them are getting the pressure from the ice side where like, oh, don't play ice and roller, it'll mess up your game. One kid I've coached, Allie Lawn, she plays at Shattuck's right now. I think she's probably 15, maybe 16. When she plays roller, she plays with her brother, and they're like a AAA team for AKS. She does awesome. I skated with a kid the other night. We had our women's pickup. She was a 12-year-old girl from Lady Ducks that Celeste invited out, and she was like sniping. Yeah. So, there is a generation, but I think there's kind of like a gap. Like there's no kids in that like 15 to 20-ish range that are like playing all these tournaments and really out there, like with teams of, players like that. But I do see some of the younger kids like, Bulldogs, they have all these kids that are, girls. And if you look at OC Blaze, there's like teams that are half girls, half boys. So I think there's kind of like that next wave. I just think it's, challenging when there's pressure about like ice hockey and playing both. So
we definitely see way more girls playing when we're in California than anywhere else in the country by a landslide.
Really?
And I know my buddy Alex Morrison, who coached the junior women's team. He's doing a lot of good things out in California. He's coaching, his daughter's team. He's getting real involved with the women's hockey, coaching a ton of girls. So it's just, and he tells me it's just growing by leaps and bounds out there,
sure.
Pre-pandemic. But, let me ask you this. I mean, this is a problem I've seen with the boys on ice hockey that I've coached. I coached a school team.
Mm-hmm.
None of them watch hockey. I'll say to them, who watched the Ranger game last night? No one raises their hand. Who watched the Islander game? Nobody. It's just they watch highlights on their phone. And I find that's a disconnect where when I was a kid, we watched it constantly and we learned the game, where I feel like kids today have that disconnect. They don't understand how the plays develop. They just see the end result. I mean, do you see that at all?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I think now there's so much like out there that takes people's attention, that, even if it's just social media on their phone instead of watching the game or something.
Right.
But I could definitely see that.
Even when they're at the game, they're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll go to a game and just be on their phone or posting stuff. So
I remember my older daughter, when she first played softball, and only lasted a season, thank God. But her first game, I remember saying to my wife, I wonder if she's going to know where to run, like what base, after she hits the ball, because I don't think she's ever watched a baseball game in her life. Where to me as a kid, I watched the Yankees constantly. I knew baseball, every rule, and there's so many rules. And she told me, oh, Dad, I know from kickball at school. I'm like, okay. They don't really watch sports like we did.
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of changed with, even now, like kids are, playing a lot of ice hockey, and with that ice hockey, they're on the rink 3-4 times a week already. Like, it's hard to get on the rink more than that if you want to add roller in the mix, and your whole week's full. So, and then, everything else that's going on. So yeah, I think it's important. I think roller hockey definitely plays a big part in players' development. There's lots of people in the NHL level in college that, started in roller and, hone those skills that, you don't necessarily always see when you're playing ice only. So I'm definitely a big advocate for it, but I know it's a challenge for some people.
Unfortunately, whatever the parents pay more money on, they're going to make that the most important thing.
Exactly. That's the other thing.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we live in Long Island, and women's hockey is decently. It's getting there. It's pretty big, I guess. But women's roller hockey, it's gone down tremendously. We obviously Sarah Sinning and Nicole Giannino and now Sushi is here, Catherine Santos. Yeah, but like other than that, I mean, there's not next.
They usually play with the boys, Greg. All those girls growing up, they didn't have women's girls teams here.
But I'm just saying. I agree. Yeah, no, I agree. But we don't really see any young girls playing anymore. That's my point. And what do you think is the best route of best way of maybe getting some of these girls onto the wheels?
Yeah. I don't know, honestly. And if I had to, if I ever go back to coaching, I know it'll be to coach a girls roller team. I would love to get a team playing in the girls division of the different roller tournaments, and they can totally go play their ice leagues. They can play on their boys teams, because I think it's great to be playing co-ed up until women's division is when you obviously kind of have to make the shift. But
I think you're a better player, you would think.
Yeah, exactly. Just more opportunities to kind of play the game. So I think just, further expanding, I love seeing when there are women's and girls divisions at the tournaments, and encouraging, the girls that are playing on the boys teams, hey, let's get you on a girls team and playing against some other girls. It helps build their confidence when they're able to do that too. So.
Well, Greg, I think to your point, I think the reason you don't see the girls playing as much roller now is because ice hockey's become bigger for girls now here. Back then when Sarah was playing, or Catherine, I don't know how much ice was even going on for girls, so they played roller hockey. Now ice hockey's become this crazy juggernaut of a sport like everything else, and just like the ice kids are playing just ice, it's hurt the girls playing roller. Laura, the reason I didn't get my daughters involved with hockey, well, there's a lot of reasons, but the main one was there isn't a lot of it. Yeah. So to me, it would be, okay, they're going to play with the boys a little bit, and then they're going to have to start playing with the girls. And when they start playing with the girls, they're going to have to travel constantly to play. Yeah. There's no Long Island teams except for 1 or 2, real teams.
Yeah.
And it would be, I'm traveling to work. I mean, my wife would have to be every weekend on the road in Rhode Island or Connecticut or Massachusetts or Canada or Michigan. And I have 3 kids. She's not going to want to be doing that. Yeah. So soccer was an easier outlet, or lacrosse, because there's a million teams here to play. That really was the reason why. It's sad, but true.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Accessibility too for ice hockey is just like you're saying, the travel and tournaments, and there are the opportunities for recruitment and later down the line, but soccer and all these other sports also have that. So it's definitely figuring out a way to make it more accessible, which is where roller hockey comes in. Roller hockey is more accessible for the most part. Rink time isn't as expensive. It's just then the numbers aren't there. So got to figure out a way to get more people on the wheels. But I mean, this pandemic alone, I remember reading a stat, Bauer roller skates, the traffic on their site was up 700% or something, right when all this started. So I think we will see kind of a bit of a surge of more people wanting to get out and play roller. And you see all these street hockey leagues kind of blowing up and all that. So
I think Lapina, Rink Rat, they sold 3 years of wheels in less than a year. From the pandemic, everyone was out. It's like Peloton bikes, couldn't get them, right? I mean,
exactly. Still can't get it. Yeah, the number of people from my ice hockey world that just hit me up during the pandemic, what skates do I buy? What kind of wheels do I need? What's going on? So let's hope that kind of helps, and we kind of see some of that.
One of my buddies who works for a company, he sent me a screenshot of an order through Amazon of a Genny Malkin ordering roller hockey balls or whatever to his place in Florida, wherever he was. Yeah. So that was awesome. It's so tough with, what I would love to see in California, and I know it would never happen, but because the Ducks own all these rinks, And if they truly supported roller, which they're not listening, so I don't care. Like, I don't think they really do.
Yeah.
But if they did, it would be great if they could say, you know what, Wednesday nights, we're not going to train ice. Well, we'll let the roller rinks have a really high level roller night where kids between 13 and 17, whatever, can have real competitive leagues. Because what happens is the leagues don't have a lot of these kids playing because they're so busy with ice every night.
Yeah.
And then the Ducks look at the roller and say, oh, where are our numbers from roller hockey? Like, the ice rinks are packed, you guys aren't. But it's like, well, how can they be packed if you guys have all the kids here? Yeah, like, so I wish there was a way they could work together better to because there are kids, I hear all the time, my kid would rather play roller hockey. It's more fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's a sad statement if it's more fun, but you make them do the other thing all the time,
Yeah, it's almost like the model. I know with the Ducks, their big thing is they have a program where they go to the elementary schools and they teach the kids to play street hockey. And then the next goal is to try to get them to play like roller or learn to play at the rink. But the model basically tries to build them up to like, okay, well, when you're done with your middle school roller league, like, let's go play ice hockey.
And you go.
So it's almost like you're feeding them out of the sport instead of like, well, you could play high school ice, but like, there are high school roller leagues too, but it just doesn't have the same level of,
Well, roller's always been a recruitment tool since day one for ice. Any kid that gets good at roller usually eventually plays ice, right?
Exactly.
That's why they don't have to worry about the competition. But the crazy part, I remember Ken Murchison telling me years ago, who used to own Corona,
Yeah.
that he said, way back in the day, in the old Bulldog rink days, that Greg mentioned, the rink,
Yeah.
it was, you had so many roller kids, and there were a lot of the kids that weren't ready for travel ice or playing roller. He goes, but now it's the flip. He goes, now there's so many ice teams for all levels, and kids that really probably shouldn't be playing travel yet are playing ice.
100%.
And it's hurting the roller leagues then, because now there's an ice team for every ability. As long as you have the money, it seems there's another team they'll make, so that hurts it too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let me ask you a couple questions before I let you go, Laura. These are a couple of our little speed round questions we ask everybody just to get to know you a little bit away from hockey.
Nice.
So are you more of a call or text kind of person?
Probably text.
Wine or beer?
It depends, both.
Okay. Rhode Island or California?
California for sure.
Coach or play?
Play for sure.
Ice or roller?
Roller.
Would you rather score the big goal or set up the goal with a beautiful assist?
I don't want to lie, so I'd rather score.
Okay. What's the toughest country to play against?
I probably would normally say Czech, but Spain's right up there, so one of those two. Probably Czech.
Okay. Out of all the teams you've ever played with, who's the best locker room teammate you've ever had?
Oof. I don't know. That's a tough one. Like Worlds, Gino's obviously super funny always, kind of like class clown. On Rink Rat, I don't know. Everyone's got their personality, so that locker room's always fired up.
Okay. Greg, you got a couple?
Yeah, so like obviously you're a leader on a lot of these teams. You consider yourself like a silent leader, like a lead by example type person, or are you kind of loud? Are you getting the girls' faces, trying to get them going?
I think it kind of depends on like the game and the mood and everything. We have a lot of people on our team and personalities that strong leaders. So I think when we need it, like people step up. For the most part, I'm not too vocal. But if something needs to be said or done, like I'll do it. But yeah, kind of try to lead by example, but I also I love to have fun out there. Like I don't ever take it too serious or take myself too serious either. So I like to stay loose and kind of, if we're having fun, we're probably playing our best hockey. So that's kind of how I think of it.
That makes sense. Now, did you ever have any opportunities to maybe play in one of these professional ice hockey leagues, like after college?
Yeah, I thought about it. I registered for the CWHL, but I was doing my master's at Providence right after I graduated. So kind of my focus more was just finish school and get a job. And then I always knew roller hockey would be there. And, right now, it's the perfect setup. I can go play, do my job during the day and then go play. I mean, it sucks that there's, limited opportunities for women to kind of make that their full-time thing, but, I understand that. And I still have a lot of fun playing hockey, even if it is beer league down the street. So I think of it as the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Are you playing in any leagues now? Do you play with like the men's divisions, men's leagues?
Normally we do. So our rink rat team, which, most of us live in SoCal minus Jeddah. So it's really nice that we're able to play year round together. We ended up taking off like the December, January season just because California has been kind of crazy with COVID and everything. But normally we play at least once a week in a men's league, and we'll maybe have like my brother come play with us just so we have a little bit of a backup, or, Daniela's brother will hop in. So yeah, we'll stick to men's. There's not really like consistent women's leagues yet. Corona was about to start one, and then everything got a little crazy with the pandemic. So I think that might be coming up in the horizon, which just shows, a lot more teams and a lot more players in SoCal, which would be really awesome to have.
Yeah, that is
Do you have any pregame routines? Like I ride the Peloton now. Pregame for me.
Yeah, I honestly might need to try. I'm getting old now. The body hurts. If we're at a tournament and it's a local one, we usually like to do like a team brunch. Like we'll make breakfast together. Now I like to try to get a warm up in. Before I used to kind of just jump out there, listen to music in the locker, just get loose, but nothing, not too superstitious. I like to have a fresh tape job for like every game on my stick. I'm basically like tape everybody's stick on my team for some reason, because I like to do like, where you cut the bottom off and keep it nice for roller, and everyone complains that they can't do it, so I end up doing it. But yeah, I guess that would be my routine.
Did you have any during college ice hockey? Anything?
Probably just like getting my stick ready, same thing, like making sure I have a good tape job, but nothing too crazy otherwise.
It's funny you say that, because when I coach ice, I walk in and I look at the stick rack, and if I see a shitty stick.
First off, his team isn't very good. Like they're beginner. A lot of them are beginners, right, Tim? I mean,
some of them. It's school, so it's everything.
It's a mixture, yeah.
Some really good, some medium, and some terrible. But I'll walk by the stick rack and there'll be, a tape hanging off, or didn't tape the stick for the game. And I walk in, I throw the stick at the ground, and I'm like, whose stick is this? And like I believe in same thing. Even though I'm playing in my men's league game, I retape my stick, I get set. I just believe in everything I do. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right.
Yeah. The little details.
Yeah, before I go on the Peloton, I stretch, I get myself ready. I'm like headband on, like I'm ready to go,
Right. That's awesome.
Love to see that.
For sure.
Hey, anything else for Laura, Greg?
I'm good. I'm good on my end. Yeah.
So Laura, are we pronouncing the last name right? I always feel bad if I'm butchering someone's. So let me say it. Laura Veharanta.
Yeah.
Veharanta, but it's close enough. Like people, it really is just how it looks, but people see it and it looks intimidating with lots of letters. So
yeah, it scares me when I go to say it. So I always want to say it right.
What's your favorite beach in Southern California?
Probably Newport, because it's like the closest one, and there's a lot going on there. So just down the road.
Do they allow girls in that pro beach? Those beach games they have going on? Are girls in those games?
I know Daniela and some of the girls skate during the week. Apparently the weekend one's a little more serious. So I don't know if any of the girls ever jump in. I think Daniela will sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, I was out there last week and just scoping it out. There was a ton of people, and it looked a lot of fun. I don't know how I could do with that beach hockey ball though.
Right.
It looks like it'll be hard to shoot.
Right.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. But now, Laura, we really appreciate you coming on today. Obviously, you're an unbelievable player and great person, and we love having you in the sport, and we're just glad that you're able to take the time out of your busy schedule to have some fun with us today.
For sure, yeah, and thank you guys for doing this. It's been fun to watch throughout, the pandemic, and something to keep roller hockey at the top of mind until we get some tournaments here, hopefully. And thanks honestly for the support you guys have of the women's divisions. Like, not many tournaments are doing what you guys are doing with prizing and the announcers during the finals and stuff like that. So I know it doesn't go unnoticed by everyone in the division.
We'll be back to the $2,500 prize this year in women's in St. Peters, Missouri. So we're excited for that, and we love the women's division. Want to see it keep growing, and we have our girls division also. We're trying to keep getting that thing growing also as well. So
maybe I'll get a team signed up there if I can get some kids to coach.
Yeah, get some ducks out there.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's girls are out of the gate that do play roller. I'm sure Weller and a couple other girls will.
Yeah, I have some players in mind. I think I can get a squad, so I'll try it out.
Cool.
think a lot of it, Laura, it's just it's a double-headed thing. It's in some places people just don't know about it,
For
you know,
sure.
and then it's someone just getting the ball rolling, really. Like California's got their own thing where there's girls that are finished playing college ice, like Greg mentioned, everywhere that probably don't really know much about roller, or don't know there's a cool tournament to play in. So it's
For
about
sure.
finding those people to really get it going, So hopefully we'll do a better job in the future, all of us.
Yeah, let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll set up a State Wars Hockey Live ride on the Peloton soon, so we'll see you on
Yeah,
there.
let's do it. That'll be super fun.
All right, and have
Cool.
a great day, and
All
we'll see
right.
you
Thanks,
soon.
guys.
Thanks,
yeah, we'll see
Laura.
you soon.
Take
All
care.
right. Bye.
Thanks, Laura. All right, that was Laura Veharanta from Southern California, Laverne area. Great gal, Greg, awesome player, and just a winner, Obviously, we pay so much attention to the pro division with the men, but the girls have some phenomenal players as well. And I'll be honest, years ago, I didn't pay much attention to the women's division, but it's gotten so much better. And watching the Worlds at Barcelona this 2 years ago now, I guess it is, I was pretty impressed with some of these girls, and Laura's on top of that list for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's some phenomenal talents. I mean, look down the lineups and with a lot of these teams, a lot of them play college hockey. A lot of them have deep ice hockey, roller hockey backgrounds, and a lot of these girls are better than the guys. Let's be honest. Their skills phenomenal, and we saw it firsthand. Last summer at State Wars. I mean, that championship game was great. So, yeah, just some awesome stuff. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool hearing the Timu Solani connection there with her dad. You can see that the Finns, right? They all kind of stick together. There's not a lot of this. They all get to know each other a little bit.
It's funny, before the podcast, when we're preparing, Tim's like, I wonder what nationality Laura is. Like, I'm not really too sure. And we really had no idea. And Finnish. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So 4-time State Wars gold medalist, 5-time Team USA gold medalist, and obviously a million tournaments in between. But the two big ones there, she got 9 championships right there, and high scorer 2010, 2018, and 2020 at State Wars. And back in 2010, when we still had Team North America with the women's division, she was, of course, a member of that team.
Yeah.
You look back at that team, it's probably girls that all played on Team USA at some point. So great stuff. And hopefully we'll see her, we didn't talk about next year too much, but hopefully we'll get to see her in Columbia at some point. When they're ending, we're starting, so we'll have a little bit of overlap. I don't know when. Hopefully they'll be in a gold medal game. Maybe we'll be able to get there to see them in Columbia end of August this year for World Championships.
Yeah, that'd be great. Usually, the team gets in the day of, the finals. So hopefully we'll be able to get there and watch. It'd be cool.
One thing's curious to me with the women's hockey on the USA side, and I don't want to ask her this and put her on the spot. But, with the men, as you know, Greg, I mean, you've been this guy and it happens, there's players that play on these teams multiple times. And the hard part about being a coach is, guys get older and there's new younger players and people get offended and they just think they're on the team. And it's just hard, and you want to open up those opportunities to new people. And I would think with the women, that's got to be tough. It's, let's face it, I'm married with 3 daughters, and girls are different than guys, and they take things personally, I'm sure, and they become good friends. And I would think that scenario with the coach, I don't envy Coach Dave Marmenstein or Charlie Scarillo for that, because I'm sure it's got to be tough when girls are getting a little older and the new girls coming up and that bond they have in that club. I think it's got to be probably even tougher with the women's and the men's.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of those girls have been playing for a lot of years, and and they keep winning. So it's kind of tough to kind of shake things up the year after when, there's success there. But it's a tough spot. And like she said, there might be a little gap, right, of players coming up in that age group, maybe early 20s, teens coming up. But it seemed like Alex Morrison did a pretty good job at selecting his junior world team that year in Barcelona. So I see a bright future for some of these girls, and I don't see any issues with Team USA Women's in the future. I mean, they're going to be solid for years to come.
I think of women's hockey, I always think of the Dunn family. It always comes to my mind from Missouri. They've been such a huge part of State Wars. They got 55 kids. And obviously James, the brother, had been our equipment manager on the Snipers, and Josh played last year on the Snipers Pro team with us, but Jessica and Jinsey and Josie and Joy, they've all been phenomenal women's hockey players coming up the ranks at State Wars. I've watched them and watching, especially a few of them, watching them with the boys over the years. I mean, they were just as good as the boys for a few years,
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they were, I know Jinsey was playing up with the boys up until her senior year.
Yeah.
I think that year in St. Louis, that year she played with the boys. I mean, she didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
She was competitive, and as Laura said, it's always good for the girls to play with the boys. More opportunities for them to play, and obviously their skill set gets a little better because they're playing against stronger kids who are reaching puberty, and it's just good all around for the girls to play with the boys, I think.
Yeah, and it's a funny story from State Wars, and I won't mention names, but I think it was 2007. I think it was in Michigan in 2017. And Joy Dunn was playing, and the girls get 1 extra year eligibility.
Yeah.
And she was obviously just phenomenal,
Mhm.
And they were playing a team, and the other team was complaining about Joy playing in the division. And I still remember this, Greg. You'll remember when I tell the story. Joy took a slap shot during the game, and it nailed the goalie in the head of the other team, and the goalie went down for a while. And the parents and coaches were all going crazy about her playing and blah, blah, blah. And I still remember Manon Riom was in the crowd because it was Michigan, and her son, both sons were, well, one son was playing for sure, Dakota. And parents were complaining in front of her about Joy playing. And she basically said, hey, if you want your kid to be better, train. Like, she's training. Her parents put money into her and she's good. Don't knock her because she's good, kind of thing. And it always stuck with me because that's how people can be. It's like someone's really good, they don't want them playing, but like they would have turned her down on their team, like it's just it's laughable. But she was always a phenomenal player with the boys.
I remember that happened back in Darien too. I think she took a shot and hurt a goalie back in the Darien days. I think it was 2010 or so. But yeah, that's too funny. I forgot to bring up. I wanted to bring up the Bell Tire team too that competed at State Wars that year.
Yeah.
In Michigan, because they were very good too. So it'd be nice to see them come up, and come back to the State Wars this summer. And they were pretty young then. A lot of them were really young. So.
Well, there was the one girl that always played with the 01s. Name escapes me. Phenomenal skater. And her mom and her, they put the team together with their ice girls. It was home,
Yeah.
So hopefully this year at Missouri, Missouri's a big hotbed with hockey. Hopefully they'll get more girls and women's teams playing from there, which we usually do. And then you drag over the Michigans and maybe some Illinois. You get some Cali with girls like Laura helping out or Alex. And, let's keep growing this thing because I want to see women's hockey grow and the girls division, which is the feeder system to the women's division, of course.
Yeah, and let's talk about those studs from the Bibia. The Vivian girls, I mean, those girls. Laura brought up the Vivian team, but those girls are getting so good.
Oh yeah,
a lot of high end talent there. And their goalie was really good. A couple
girls they have might have been the best girls in that whole division.
Yeah, they were so good.
They played on like 4 teams during that tournament.
Yeah, they did. Sit
on a plane for 48 hours. You want to play as much as you can when you get there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's another team that's going to be up and coming. So
looking forward to having the Bibia. They're planning to come back to State Wars this summer in St. Peter's. So excited to have them coming back. We loved having a Bibia there. Brian Sobel does a great job with those teams. And the girls there are just phenomenal. I know he was big on those girls, how great they were.
Yeah, he does such a good job with the program, and even the boys. I mean, they're, for a country that's not known for hockey, they're getting really, really good, and it's impressive. And they're doing just such a good job there with training, and Dave Hammond works a lot with the kids, and they got some good stuff down there going on, and it's awesome to see.
Well, 2 years ago, Milo Davis got that group together from down south to come play girls, and there's people doing it. And that's really my big goal with the women's is let's get Sweden over here. Maybe let's get the Czechs over here. Let's get the French back. Colombia. Like that's how we keep growing it, by getting some of these other countries coming over to play, because I'm sure they don't play a ton of competitive hockey either. So it's worth the trip for them to come to play against these U.S. teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And Canada, let's get more Canadians over playing, because there's definitely a lot of good Canadian hockey players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm surprised Laura didn't mention the Canadians being a top team. I mean, maybe she just kind of thought that we, should have known that they are one of the top
Right.
teams, but shouldn't really bring up the Canadians as well. So
Well, you see it on the ice, Greg, because I remember, I don't know how many years ago, maybe it was 5 years ago, they actually considered taking women's ice hockey out of the Olympics,
yes,
because it was a 2-horse race, was Canada and US every year, and they were killing everyone, 20-0.
hmm
And it became like, we don't want this. It's not good for the sport. So, but then all of a sudden, the Swedes started getting good, and the Finns, and the Czechs, and all these other countries, Swiss, on ice. And then now it's not like that at all suddenly. And that's, what I want to see happening. Of course, I want USA to win the gold every year, and men's and women's at Worlds. But it wouldn't bother me at all if we went to Worlds this summer in Colombia and there were 8 teams that could legitimately win the tournament. That's what I want.
yeah,
I want it to be that way, not just a 2 or 3 horse race.
exactly. And when you asked her about maybe splitting the divisions up, for women's, maybe some of the higher tier teams and the lower teams, it seemed like they kind of like playing against the lower end teams, just because it's cool playing against different countries, one. But you also see them getting better and better each year, which I think is pretty cool. And it gives these women, the lower end teams, kind of something to look up to, maybe we should start playing like this, or start doing stuff that maybe Laura's doing on the rink. So they see it firsthand when they're playing against them. So I think
Greg, imagine men's, if we combine Division 1 and 2 together. Would you want to play a team and beat them 40-0? I know they had to do that World Games a couple of, when they relegated down, I think Brandon Hawkins scored 25 goals in a game against somebody, Hong Kong or whatever. I would have a lot of difficulty being on the bench for that.
Yeah, but I think the women's, there's not too many blowouts, so the women's games, maybe a couple, but yeah, my first couple of years playing with the Fears team, Team USA, 05 and 06, we played against some of the lower end teams in games like the Australias, and even like Great Britain back then, Hong Kong and China and stuff like that. It was cool. It was a cool experience in way different countries, but at the same time, didn't really help the matter, So
Again, like I joked with her, it's maybe fun to you, but I don't think it was fun for Australia.
Yeah. But they're also, some of them are honored to be out there.
Yeah, no.
They love it.
Even the Palma Pro division, I mean, we're always talking about, that's why that division is so special. We limit it, and we always talk about, should we make it smaller? Like, I like the idea of every game being tough, and it's not easy, but that's the way, that's what I like. And I think it's almost like when we played in Barcelona 2 years ago, I like that we played Czech once before.
Yeah.
If they were in the other bracket and we didn't play them, suddenly we had to play them in the final. It's like, I like that we played them, and I wish we had more games like that every step of the way. And our games weren't bad with Italy and Canada and Switzerland and whatnot. We had good games, but I still love that competitive side, and that's what I love about the Palma Pro division. Obviously, that every single game is a battle, and we've talked about it before. I think this summer is going to be even tougher. Again, a lot of talk, Greg, about our team. I want to do our young team. I haven't named it yet. I've got some names in mind. For that spot on the Palma Pro division. Already hearing from some people reaching out about it. Already talked to a couple people getting their kids involved. Would they be interested? And I think it's going to be pretty good, Greg. Hearing some good names wanting to play, some first timers, and pretty excited about that opportunity. And I think it could turn into something pretty cool in the future.
Oh, 100%. I'm all about this team. I thought it was so cool when the World Cup of Hockey did it with the young stars, Team North America.
Yeah,
I just think it's so cool. Gives these kids an opportunity to play in the division, get their name out there, get their foot in the door, show off their skill, showcase their talent. Again, it's just an awesome opportunity, and I think it's just exciting for the game too. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm just excited to see the final roster.
And the hardest part is going to be, making those decisions, and someone's always going to be upset their kid's not asked, and this is an illustrious. Honor to be asked to play on this team, and unfortunately, just and being totally transparent, if there's 12 guys from one state that might be better, I'm not going to take all. It's going to be, I wanted kids from all around the country involved. Obviously, kids that have been playing at State Wars. Is not for some kids that never even been at State Wars before. It's going to be kids that play at State Wars will be playing at State Wars this summer and their own divisions as well. And from different parts of the country, mix and match them and have some kids working together and most importantly, have some fun with it and just make it a fun showcase for these kids to get to play against the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And again, I'm excited to see the final roster and your thoughts on some of these players.
100%. All right. Well, great pod today. We want to thank Laura again for coming on and taking the time off the Peloton or cycling outside or working. I know she's got a busy work schedule. Definitely cool seeing just how professional and dedicated she is in her life. You can see, Greg, she's just not just fly by night kind of person. Like she's got a job, a career, her master's, like she took some time off from hockey for school, and she's a very focused person, which is awesome to see. And definitely someone that I want my daughters to emulate in that regard. Just that focus and stuff. And we love that she cut out a little bit of her busy day to have time for us today.
Yeah, for sure. It was a struggle getting her on, working out dates and times and stuff like that. But I'm glad it worked out. And again, she's a great role model for these young girls. So hopefully she'll get back into some coaching, when her schedule frees up and slows down a little bit. And these girls are lucky to have her coach. And I think it's really cool.
100%. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to our podcast. Exciting stuff. Hope everybody has a good weekend. We don't usually have this on a Friday, so it feels weird now knowing, oh, shoot, I got to rush. I got ice hockey practice I got to get to in an hour and a half. So great podcast. Everyone have a good, safe weekend. And, it's a Martin Luther King weekend, I guess, this weekend. I'm going to go skiing actually on Monday, Greg. So excited for that. Do a little hit the slopes a little bit on Monday for a day trip. Yep. Third weekend in a row for me. So, this pandemic's helping things like that. It's just more free time, like do stuff like that, be outside, get some exercise. Yeah,
less traveling and spend some more time with the kids. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, skiing's such a fun family experience, something we can do together, which is nice. It's not, they're not on their phones, they're not off doing their own thing. Everyone's together and hanging out, and you don't get to do that too often. So that's awesome. So so excited for that. And personally, thank you everybody. A lot of people wishing me happy birthday yesterday and stuff and send me messages. So thank you guys for that. For this old man feeling a year older.
Almost at that big 5-0.
Don't say it. I got 2 more years to go for that. And oh God, I'm just hoping I get there at this point.
Exactly, right?
Like my dad used to say, it's better than the alternative, I guess, getting older. So
Sure.
But great stuff. And I don't even know who we're gonna have on the show next week. We got to talk about that, get somebody back on. I'm sure we'll get back to our normal schedule next week, get back on a Thursday next week. Actually not sure when, but talked to Pat Maroon a little bit earlier this morning and told me we got to get him back on, talk about winning back-to-back cups. He's like, absolutely, sounds good. So not sure if we'll get him on next week, but definitely want to get Pat on in the near future. And he's always a great guest for us.
Yeah, pretty funny going back and forth with him through text message this morning.
Conversation.
Yeah, his season started, so I'm sure he's a little busier now with the season going on. But it'd be cool to have him back on just to talk about the cup run and his experience with Tampa. So
I gotta show his new picture. His new dress, how he's dressing for the games now. And I was busting his chops the other day about it. So we'll save that picture for when he's on with us.
Yeah, he's come a long way since his rookie year in Anaheim when we saw him with his Marshall suit on, and I don't think he had any suits then.
Right. And now everything's being tailored. And I think there's a tailored suit to go walk the dog in Tampa now. So
I got Brian Higney chirping me about dust on my Peloton. Higney, anytime you want to race in hockey, foot race, Peloton, anything, buddy, I'm here. Come at me.
Yeah, I didn't realize Higgs was on the cover of Muscle and Fitness.
Yeah, right. Oh man, his body looks like a melted candle.
I'm really speaking of Higgs, I'm looking forward to the men's divisions this summer, Greg. We're going to have some big men's divisions in Missouri. I just had a couple new teams contact me. Never played at State Wars before, about wanting to get involved. So that senior A is going to blow up, double A, and, money prizes in a lot of these divisions this year. We're going to give money back for your entry fee in double A, 35 and over AAA, 45 and over AAA. So that's going to add a little extra excitement to that. $2,500 given out to the women's. And obviously we give away a boatload with the pro already. So, can be fun summer, and I just can't wait to get to St. Peter's this July. I love that place.
I'm excited. We say it every episode. Love St. Louis. Love the Recplex. Love the area. Just love it. And hopefully, baby Paisley will make her first State Wars trip this summer for a weekend during the pro division. So.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I know your family usually comes out during that division too. So.
Yeah, hopefully it'll work out this year. We'll see with the travel and how everything is going. It's funny, the first year of State Wars, my wife was pregnant. So she wasn't even there, but I'm trying to remember, I got a picture here of this was Sydney. So that was what, 2008. So she was two there at State Wars in the old ball pit in Cincinnati right there.
Yep.
You wouldn't be getting in that ball pit in COVID USA, that's for sure nowadays.
No way. No
ball pits, that's for sure. Angel Otto mentioned 35 and over division will be unreal, and that goes without saying. 35. From talking to the Bull last week about Missouri and there's some new teams forming out there, and our accountant Pete Messina, give him a shout out, Messina and Associates. He'll be getting an Illinois stack team together with him out there, and he'll be sniping.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a fun division, man. And we expect high-end Missouri teams as always, and we're looking to obviously split the divisions again. So
don't sleep on New York.
No, we got some big pickups as well. So
oh yeah,
I'm excited, and I'm sure the Empire do as well.
Empire, you can't sleep on Empire. Otto's always got. He's always stirring out. He's working on something, ready to come out with something new and exciting. I know he's working on an Empire Pro team for the near future here, probably unveiled this year at Winter Wars or whatnot. And he's doing great things in New Jersey. And Angel Silva, a little shout out to him, just chimed in a little bit about his son watching the game. So his son's unique. His son is not like the average kid. The average kid is not staring at the screen watching. And COVID may change that, hopefully, but most kids are not watching full games at this point as kids. I just think their attention is not even there for it anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but everyone wants to watch a highlight video, I always laugh, Greg, when you see someone at a game or at a concert and they're filming it to save it, and they miss like the song that they're there to listen to because they could film it so they can listen to it later on their phone. It just makes no sense. You could go on YouTube and find that song later on. You don't got to film it. You're not the only guy in the world filming that song. You could find it on YouTube, right?
I'm guilty of that. Sometimes when I'm at a concert, I like a song, not the whole song. I'll do a little clip just to have. I think it's pretty cool experience to be there when like one of your favorite songs is on, and you tape it and you save it and have it pretty memories. I think that's cool.
I disagree. I think you're missing the point of being there and enjoying the moment.
Listen, like I said,
put your lighter out, Greg, and dance around.
Like now it's the phone light
to Def Leppard and stuff. You want to do that? The phone light? Yeah, that's okay. But when you're sitting there filming it, that song's not going to sound any different on your phone than going to YouTube and listening to Billy Joel sing, Piano Man on his own there when someone else filmed it. But you're missing the experience of put your arm around your gal, pound a beer, dance with your buddies, whatever you want to do, and enjoy it. Getting that phone out definitely takes away from that in the moment experience of what you should be experiencing. That's why I hate phones.
Well, I agree to you to a point. I'll agree to disagree. I like to get a little clip, nothing too long, just a couple seconds, just my experience, and put it in my memory bank. Keep it there. So years down the line, hey, I was at this concert. Show a little Paisley. Hey, Dad was actually cool at one point. He went to this concert.
And she's gonna be like, I can care less, Dad. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's a story for another time.
Trust me. I try to tell my kids something about something I did. They have zero interest. So it is what it is. But no, great show today. Again, thank you to Laura for being on. Loved having her on. We'll look forward to next week, and we'll see who we're going to have on.
Yep.
State Wars Hockey Podcast. We're out. Thank you.